Imagine falling through 50 feet of liquid midnight. The only sound is the rhythmic, mechanical hiss of an air pump and the thumping of your own heart against a heavy canvas suit. For Elias Stadiotis, a Greek sponge diver in the spring of 1900, this wasn't just a job, it was a descent into a graveyard. He was hunting for sponges off the coast of a tiny, jagged island called Antikythera. But what he found down there, it wasn't biological, it was haunting. Elias surfaced moments later, gasping, his eyes wide with a terror that transcended the physical. He babbled about a heap of dead, naked people rotting on the sea floor, men, women, and horses strewn across the rocks. Was he suffering from nitrogen narcosis? His captain thought so, but when the captain dove down himself, he realized the truth was far stranger. This wasn't a fresh massacre. It was a 2,000-year-old Roman shipwreck, a literal Titanic of the ancient world, overflowing with bronze and marble masterpieces. But the sea doesn't give up its ghosts for free. To reclaim these treasures, the divers paid in blood. Before the year was out, one man was dead and 2 others were paralyzed for life, crushed by the very pressure that had kept this secret for 2 millennia. And tucked away in the corner of the hall, unnoticed and unassuming, sat a small, corroded lump of bronze, a device that shouldn't have existed for another 1,400 years. For decades, it sat in a museum drawer, dismissed as a piece of junk. But under the rust and the lime lay a labyrinth of over 30 interlocking gears. This is the Antikythera mechanism. It's been called the world's first analog computer, a device so complex it challenges everything we thought we knew about human progress. Was this a freak accident of history? Absolutely not. It's a ghost, a remnant of a high-tech civilization that vanished, leaving us to reinvent the wheel for over 1,000 years. Why did this technology die with this ship? And what does it say about the fragility of our own digital age? To find out, we have to look past the bronze and into the hearts of the people who dared to play God with time. It's 60 BC. The Roman Republic is the new superpower on the block, and it has a voracious appetite for Greek sophistication. Think of it as the ultimate luxury shopping spree, fueled by conquest. This ship, a massive grain carrier turned treasure vault, was likely carrying the spoils of war or the private collection of a wealthy Roman elite. It was packed to the gills with gold jewelry, fine glassware, and massive statues of Hercules. But the most valuable thing on board wasn't the gold. It was a shoebox-sized wooden case containing the collective astronomical genius of the ancient world. The island of Rhodes was the Silicon Valley of the 1st century BC. This is where the great mind Hipparchus blended Babylonian math with Greek geometry. Why go to the trouble of building something this intricate? The answer is power. Pure, unadulterated power. In a world where an eclipse could topple a king or win a war, whoever could predict the heavens held the keys to the kingdom. But even the most advanced computer is useless against the raw fury of a Mediterranean gale. The ship was caught in a perfect storm, driven off course toward the jagged cliffs of Antikythera. As the hull groaned and the lead sheeting began to tear, the crew faced a terrifying choice. But the mechanism? It remained silent, its gears still tracking a future that its owners would never see. For decades, the Antikythera mechanism was an enigma wrapped in a riddle, literally. It wasn't until we hit it with high-resolution X-rays and CT scans that the battered lump finally started talking, and what it said was impossible. Inside this shoebox-sized case were over 30 interlocking bronze gears. Now, you might think, gears, big deal. But here's the kicker. The level of precision required to cut these teeth by hand wouldn't be seen again for another 1,400 years. Was this just a basic calculator? Hardly. It was a mechanical brain, an analog computer designed to track the heartbeat of the cosmos. Let's talk about the moon. The ancients knew the moon doesn't move across the sky at a steady pace. It speeds up and slows down because its orbit is an ellipse, not a circle. To model this, the Greek engineers did something genius. They used a pin and slot mechanism. By offsetting two gears and connecting them with a sliding pin, they actually mimicked the moon's irregular speed. Think about that. They translated a complex celestial anomaly into a physical, ticking movement. It's like trying to build a Swiss watch using only a hammer and a chisel and actually making it accurate to within 1 degree over 500 years. But they didn't stop at the moon. The back of the device featured two massive winding spirals. One tracked the 19-year Metonic cycle to keep calendars in check. The other followed the Saros cycle to predict eclipses with terrifying accuracy. Turn the crank, and you could see exactly when the sun would vanish 20 years into the future. It even had a dial for the Olympics, proving that even for the geniuses of Rhodes, sports were just as important as the stars. It was a mathematical time machine, a way to hold the entire universe in the palm of your hand. But here's the question that keeps historians up at night. If it was so perfect, why did it vanish? New research from 2025 suggests a darker reality. Engineers at the National University of Mar del Plata ran a stress test simulation on the device's design. Their findings? This masterpiece was a beautiful disaster. The gears had triangular teeth, not the smooth, curved ones we use today. This created massive friction. The simulation showed that even with perfect alignment, the mechanism would likely jam or desynchronize within just 4 months of use. It was a high-maintenance nightmare, a piece of technology so ambitious it was constantly on the verge of self-destruction. And the mechanism wasn't the only ghost on that ship. In 1976, Jacques Cousteau's divers found more than just gears. They found a pile of human remains, at least 4 people, including a woman, trapped in the wreckage. Then, in 2016, a breakthrough. A team discovered a nearly complete skeleton buried deep in the sediment. They named him Pamphilos. His bones were stained a dark, rusty red from the iron leaching out of the wreck. Pamphilos was young, likely in his late teens, and he died in total darkness, pinned under the weight of a ship that was supposed to be the pinnacle of human achievement. The Antikythera mechanism represents a total blackout of human knowledge. After this ship went down, the world forgot how to build geared computers for over a millennium. We like to think our progress is a straight line up, but history shows it's a series of peaks and valleys. And right now, we're standing on a very high, very shaky peak. We're entering what experts call the digital dark age. Every photo you take, every document you save, every line of code, it's all stored on media that degrades faster than ancient Baroque. In 50 years, will your grandkids be able to open your cloud drive? Probably not. We're building a civilization of invisible records, and like the Antikythera, our history could vanish in the blink of a digital eye. Even more haunting is the black box problem. Just as the sponge divers in 1900 stared at those gears without understanding their language, now we are creating artificial intelligence systems whose internal logic we can't fully interpret.
We build the machine, we feed it data, but the mathematical fuzziness inside remains opaque. We're handing the keys of our civilization over to gears we can't see and logic we can't follow. Are we building the next great pillar of humanity, or are we just building a more complex version of a machine that's destined to jam? The Antikythera ghost is still out there, lurking in every piece of tech we trust. It reminds us that complexity is a double-edged sword. It can show us the stars, but it can't save us from the storm. As we push deeper into the digital unknown, we have to ask ourselves, is the price of progress worth the risk of being forgotten? Or are we just the next Pamphilos, waiting for a future we'll never see to dig us out of the mud?